This is for business owners, and this is kind of our public service announcement. Doesn't necessarily have to do with anything that we do in our portfolios, but it's definitely conversations that we've been having with our business owners to make sure they're aware of it because the penalty is severe and it is brand new and very few people are talking about it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you're a business owner, if you have an entity, LLC, S Corp, anything like that, that you might not have heard about this and you might not know about it. So we want to make sure that we're bringing this to your attention and making you aware of what you need to do in order to avoid the stiff penalties that go from lack of reporting this information.
Yeah, and exactly right. Especially if you aren't working with a reputable attorney on your corporate bylaws on a regular basis. For especially for those who set up a corporation online on any one of the websites that allow you to do it for $100, you're held to the same standard as these large corporations. And so what's really happening here is FinCEN, the institution, they are enforcing this beneficial ownership reporting. And so what's happening is Congress wants to know who are the beneficial owners of every corporation legally filed in the United States of America. And so who has to report? Anybody with a corporation. And so if you have an LLC, if you have an S Corp, a C Corp, you have to go through this process and report. And there's the website address there in kind of dead center of the screen, www.fincen.gov/BOI. And what you have to do, it's a relatively simple process. You go there and you complete the information of, hey, who are the participant owners of this corporation? Now, you need to do this. Depends on how long you've had the corporation, when you filed the documents, but I guess suffice to say that no matter if you open an LLC today, you by the end of this year need to complete your beneficial ownership reporting and go through that process. Like Chris mentioned, the penalty is rather severe. It's $500 a day that you do not complete this going into 2025. Now, keep in mind that number is also adjusted for inflation. So you'll see there in that last sentence that would be closer to about $591 a day by the time those fees start to accrue. And so very important, no one is talking about this, and we wanted to make sure to bring it to your attention. If you need help getting it done, there's attorneys that we know that can help with it. There's bookkeepers that we know that can help with it. And if your advisor really likes you at Prosperitas, there's probably a way that they can handhold you through it too, because a lot of us have had to do the same. So feel free to lean on your resources around you if you feel a little bit overwhelmed about this process. But we want to make sure that you know about it so that you're not paying $3,000 a week for every week that goes by.
Crazy. Yeah, the penalties are stiff. Couple things to note. If your entity was created prior to January 1 of this year, you have until January 1 of 2025 to file this information. So if your entity's old, you have until the end of the year to get it done. If you started a new entity in 2024, you have 90 days from the day that you started that entity and filed that organization to fill out this information. And in 2025, so next year, just so you're aware, if you form an entity in 2025 and beyond, you have 30 days from the day that you file that in order to put this information in. So this is not a one and done thing. It also triggers every time you make a change. So if you change any of the ownership within the firm, all of that needs to be reported on a regular basis. So long story short, if you have entities or an entity, you're going to want to stay on top of this and make sure that you understand these rules and that you are filing this information whenever you need to avoid these very, very stiff penalties.